Ladies and gentlemen, this is FCPA John Mudanyi, your partner in business and personal growth. Today I bring to you a new topic, financing infrastructure and energy projects in Africa. I know one of the challenges of Africa today has to do with building infrastructure. And infrastructure can be very expensive. Today I'll focus a bit on energy. The next time we can discuss. Energy is very critical. It's an enabler of economic growth in any country. You need power to drive GDP of every nation. And talking about some of the African countries, you find that there's a linear relationship between the GDP growth rate and the power demand in a country. Therefore, it's important that there is growth in that energy infrastructure and energy production is aligned to the requirements of the country. Now, how do we finance this? Financing energy structure. Number one, of course, in any country, and particularly if you talk about our country here, you need a license. And you get this license from the Energy Regulatory Commission, which will give you that license to generate power. So first, you need a power generation license. Number two, to go to a financier, you will need a power purchase agreement. Power purchase agreement between you as the generator and the off-taker or the distribution company that will buy your power. In Kenya, it's Kenya Power Lighting Company. Number three, you will need environmental social impact assessment, which is issued by National Environmental Management Authority of Kenya. You need that plus all the licenses. There may be some procedures here and there that you can clarify between the Ministry of Energy and the Energy Regulatory Commission, and that will come together. Now, with this package, you can go to your financier to finance for you the project. Now, depending if you're a government institution, you can go either through a commercial banking and what we call a multilateral or development financial institution financing, or get a combination of them. And of course, you also need your own contribution, which is the equity. Normally, it could be 70-30 capital ratio, where 70% is debt and 30% is owner equity. And that you can raise in different ways, which I will not go into today. But you need your own contribution, which is 30%, and the financial will give you 70%. Depending on which financial it is, some could come down to 60, others could go up to 85%. If you are a private sector, then of course you will not be able to access some of the development financial institutions, but they have a private sector wing. For example, this World Bank, they have IFC. Others have Propaco and the rest that can help. African Development Bank can also assist. They have those kind of instruments and many others. You can also go through long-term financing that you get from commercial banks and other institutions. So that is very, very important, but you must have a bankable project. Now, the bankable project, after you got the license of generation, you need to do a feasibility study. And the feasibility study will show how the potential is, how many megawatts you can generate, how the tariff is. It will bring together all these and give the viability of the project, depending on which source of generation you're using. And there are a myriad of them. We have seen of late that there's more interest in renewable energy. And when I talk about renewable energy, we talk about something like hydropower generation, we have wind generation, we have solar generation, we also have geothermal generation. You may also have bio forms of generation. Now, this has a lot more interest. And again, you must be prepared, because to generate power, on average, depending on which source you're using, the cost could be anything between $1.5 million per megawatt to $2 to $2.2 million, depending on which one it is, generation that you're using. And of course, there are advantages, benefits. For example, if you take something like geothermal, the average would be anything between on roughly $2 million, $2 to $2.2 million per megawatt. But of course, that you get higher load factors, it's more reliable, it's continuous generation. But if you got things like wind, of course, wind will be seasonal, will depend on the seasons. If you go to solar, it will depend on the time of day, so you get maybe lesser output from that. And that will determine the return on your investment and the ability to pay your loan. So depending on which source it is, but what's important is that you have a viable project with a feasibility study, which you have checked and studied and used to whatever means to develop a study report that anybody can look at and see there's viable. Number two, you should have a power purchase agreement that you have signed, because that gives that the buyer, that the off-taker or the distribution company is ready to buy power from you. And number three, you need environmental social impact, which deals with issues on how you have dealt with the issue of social and environment and the mitigation, how you're going to protect the environment. There'll be other sources of power generation which are not renewable, like thermal. And of course, that one, the appetite for financials is growing a bit. So this is the opportunity for you. The place to start is to visit ERC, Ministry of Energy, give an expression of interest. You will get a response back. Then at the end of it, you go through a procedure that will end up with a generation license, and then you can move to the next. This is your partner, John Mudanyi, and today talking about financing energy projects in Kenya. Please remember to subscribe. Press subscribe so that anytime I produce any video, you'll be able to get a notice that there's a video ready for you. I am here to work with you. Remember to subscribe. Go to Facebook, John Mudanyi. I'll be in Twitter. Go to Instagram, John Mudanyi. Go into YouTube, John Mudanyi channel, and you will get this very, very value-adding free video. Subscribing is free. Your partner in business and personal growth, FCPA John Mudanyi, speaking about financing energy projects. God bless you. Bye. God bless you.